Okay. Post. Close that. Post. Close that and post. Alrighty, and we're pretty much just going to go ahead right into it. Welcome everybody to our very first podcast, the Meta Duelist podcast. I am your host, Avery Appleby. With me, I have Zach Collins, and I also have Frank Nicola with me. And, just a little bit about this podcast. We're going to be talking about, what we think how the meta is going to turn out, new Yu-Gi-Oh! Products are going to be releasing, some things to look out for on the market, so cards that we think you should possibly pick up and that could be meta relevant in the future, and just any kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Theories. So you guys are more than welcome to. We do live stream this podcast, so you're more than welcome to the chat, talk in the chat, and if we see something interesting, we'll mention it. But we're going to get started right now. And this week we had the Bode Sneak in the official release of these last 2 weekends. The official release is actually today, Friday, the 5th of November. So Zach, what do you think about this new set?
I think it has two very good decks, if not tier 1 decks, and that the set is overall better than a lot of the recent sets. And then obviously there's a couple cards in it that are, in my opinion, very powerful and meta shaping for what we'll be playing for the next few months.
Yeah. What about you, Frank?
I personally think that this set combined with Synchro Storm that was just released a few days prior to this makes this set the best set that has dropped since Rise of the Duelist. Is the most meta impactful set we've had in a very long time.
Right. I would say this set reminds me a lot of the sets like, Duelist Alliance and Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, where you had some of the most just meta-changing decks in them, where essentially the whole deck comes in one box and it's just ready to go. Like Dragon Rulers, Mermail, Shaddoll's Burning Abyss. Zach, you mentioned you saw a couple Tier 1 decks in this set. What do you think those Tier 1 decks are?
So, I think that Sword Soul, I don't think they're tier 1. I think they're right off tier 1, so like 1.5. But I think Sword Soul and also Flunderies both have the potential to be right off being tier 1 with also scaling tier 1. And then just Enforcer in certain decks make those decks tier 1. And I also think Heroes has the possibility of edging itself into tier 1s because of Enforcer. And what is the other card? You guys know what I'm talking about. The one that adds back... I can't think of the name. Malicious. What's the one that adds back Malicious? Denier? Denier.
Yeah.
So those two cards together have the potential to make that deck into tier 1. I would just have to see it put up the results.
Frank, what do you think? What do you think is going to be tier out of this set?
I think that Flunderies is a solid rogue deck depending on how you build it. I feel like certain people right now are not really building that deck correctly, but as the meta goes on, it's going to be solid. I think that there are two main versions of the Sword Soul deck. You have the hero version, which is a little less combo heavy, but if it gets hand trapped, can end on easier boards. And then obviously you have the more popular Tenyi version that has the ability to search some really powerful, strong side deck cards, as well as you have, there's another deck in here. Is it
Live Tone got Sunny.
The Littlest deck got a boost as well. So with the possibilities that you could pretty much build any deck right now that you liked in the past, like Phantom Knight, and throw these packages into the deck, you can throw in stuff like Fusion Destiny into any deck and not really brick your deck like Red Eyes Fusion did, because when you use Red Eyes Fusion, you have to stop right then and there. When you use Fusion Destiny, that's just your combo ender. With stuff like Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician in your deck, drawing those, they have absolutely no use whatsoever. But with Celestial and Dasher, ability to draw 2 cards or special summon a monster is going to be a lot more meta impactful. And then Phoenix Enforcer can pop cards like Scythe, which are just a lot of people are doing right now with Phantom Knights, which is terrifying, honestly.
Right. I think Phoenix Enforcer is probably the biggest game changer in the set itself, other than obviously some of the core decks. I've been telling people for a while now, I think Phoenix Enforcer is 10 times better than Dragoons. Yeah, Dragoons is pretty good in my opinion, but Phoenix Force, it just keeps coming back. It's just a terror that just keeps coming, and you get a pot of greed out of it, and you don't have to only Fusion Destiny. You can do all your combos, and at the end, Fusion Destiny. And I think that's just too insane. You mentioned the Sword Soul a little bit about the one variant I heard about you say was the Tenny version. There's a couple of versions going around that people are looking at, like kind of pure with just Fusion Destinies and Pot of Prosperities. There's the Tenny version like you mentioned, and I've seen some hybrids of both. Do you guys, we'll start with you, Frank, again, since you just mentioned it. Do you have a version in mind that you think is the best version right now?
I am currently playing the hero version, but after some testing last night, I feel that the hero version could have some problems going up against decks like Virtual World. More so because they can play traps that will mess you up, like, what is that, Chuche and whatnot. They can lock you under certain stipulations, as well as the Tenny version can special summon a whole bunch, use cards like Vishuda, and then start popping off, as well as they can play around they can play around Token Collector a little bit easier, and they have Chow Fang in the 10E version, so that floodgate against certain decks, and it's gonna, honestly, that is the most consistent and powerful version in my mind. But I personally am a hero fan, so that is why I'm playing the hero variant. Still not a bad deck, but just not as good as the 10E version. I'd say 1.5, tier 1.5 to 2 on hero, solid tier 1 on the 10E version.
So you're thinking 10E is the way right now?
100%.
Zach, what you think? Which build do you like?
Like you said, because of consistency. So, like, I'm a big hater of decks that are inconsistent, and, like, the most consistent you can get a deck to be is what I like. And the 10E build is just, like, more streamlined. It's mostly 3-ofs of all your good stuff. You're, like, more like, I'm going to draw the exact hand that I want to every single game I play. And that's kind of where you want to be at with Yu-Gi-Oh! With how consistent decks can be. You want your tournament to go, okay, every single game I'm generally knowing the game plan. If there's interruption, I have a way to play around it. And it plays around it a little better.
Right. Have you guys seen some of the OCG builds, how they are now? The ones I usually seen are mostly pure with as much draw power as possible. Like, this is a current OCG build list I saw, and it's just, it blows my mind that they're playing Desires and Prosperity. That was more so of the list I leaned towards, the Fusion Destiny build, because Prosperity allows me to, it's an upstart where I can dig 6 cards. And I like being able to go, okay, here's my combo off Prosperity. All right, let me get Fusion Destiny now, because that's what I need. Tenny seems like it can play around more hand traps. So that's what I would see. But I feel like the pure version might be more consistent. So I haven't done too much testing with the Tenny. I still got to work on that. But yeah, so you guys also mentioned Flunderies. What do you guys think about that deck?
Yeah, it's good. You just can't run too many of them. Like, too many people are trying to play, like, all of the Flunderies cards, like both bigs. You don't want to run both bigs. I think you just want to run Impim and then the Avian with the Ryza, the big Mega Ryza.
Right.
I think that's the better build, just based upon the fact that it puts a lot less bricks in your hand, and then the cards you have in your deck are more impactful.
Right.
Because you don't need the Book of Moon when the trap already Books of Moon and you already search it in your pretty consistent combo.
What you think, Frank?
I think that I would play a pretty trap heavy, like, anti-meta version of that deck. I think that which one is the one that just, it's M-Pin, right? That is monsters can't be in attack mode and use their effects.
Special summon monsters in attack position can activate their effects.
I'm with him on that one 100%. That one you definitely should play. You should definitely probably play an Apex Avian, and the last card should be Mega Raza. If you use Mega Raza correctly, there's certain times where you can stack your opponent's deck with Dasher and Celestial, and that is horrible for them. Could you imagine just drawing into a Dasher and then the following turn you draw into Celestial? And then, I mean, if you don't have an Invocation in your hand, they're not going to do anything for you. So, just the ability to flood your opponent out is just absolutely, scary to me. I hate playing against that deck. I mean, I have a pretty solid record against it, but some people are trying to side Ghost Ogre right now because of that deck, and that would makes me think that maybe you should start building this deck and saving it for when people don't think it's on the map, so you don't get Ghost Ogred. Because if you do get Ghost Ogred, your turn potentially ends.
Yeah, I think Ghost Ogre is making a strong comeback too at this point because I think it's very hurtful to Sword Soul too. You know, you go Moye effect, you Ghost Ogre, they have a token, they're stuck. Yeah.
Can't Fusion Destiny now.
Can't Fusion Destiny. You have to have a Tenny, which that build does help to play around the Ghost Ogre, but I think that is a card that we'll see more play. So we talked about Sword Soul. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
No, I was going to say with Imperm and Valor being more popular now than like Ashes, that also is better against Flunderies than, because like a lot of Flunderies benefits is that it can chain block its effects that add and stuff like that. But Imperm and Valor are just much more popular than they were before, and they hurt the deck a lot harder.
Right.
Isn't the Flunder deck playing Crossout? I see a lot of them are tending to play Crossout, and then that is just such a wild thing now that we just recently got that card as well. And you see in decks, you play one of hand traps. So that's another reason why you probably want to play the riskier version of the decks you want to play, because you got decks just running around with only one of each hand trap in their deck, and then just their combo version. So
usually riskier decks have a higher ceiling as well. So you kind of either have to build your deck going consistency with a moderate ceiling, or a little bit more risky, but you have a higher ceiling. We were just talking about hand traps, Ghost Ogre, Veil, and Imperm. What do you guys think about hand traps right now? Me personally, I'm starting to hate hand traps, and not just because of Crossout, but I feel like so many decks just play around them at this point that they don't really do anything. Zach, we'll start with you. What do you think about hand traps right now?
Yeah, so it's kind of related to like a tier list I was thinking out of my head, that I think trap decks are so much better now because everybody is playing around hand traps and playing around like interruption during your turn or whatever. And I think more people are starting to lean in towards like going second builds of certain decks. That's getting more and more popular, where maybe it's just like trap decks, like legitimate old school trap decks are the way to go, as opposed to relying on hand traps, because some people are playing crossouts, and some people, you say, everybody's still kind of playing the one called by the grave, and going into Appaloosa as their fifth summon and things like that. Like, it's such a defining thing of our meta for so long that people are building around it, and it almost seems like it might be worth it to go into more trap heavy builds of decks / just playing trap heavy decks in general.
Right. What you think, Frank, about hand traps and traps in general?
I think that if you're going to play a deck that plays hand traps right now, you might as well build Literalist. For that reason, why you do not need that many engine cards compared to where you have the most ability to flex spots. Invoke plays hand traps really well, so if you're going to play those decks, you can play a good number of hand traps. You're also able to search DD Crow, which just a lot of people just don't expect. I've won a lot of games recently just with DD Crow and being able to search it with the Literalist XYZ, like Phantom Knights. You can crush them with a DD Crow, and you can do it with Virtual World.
Crow also shuts down Phoenix Enforcer too. I mean, you're not getting it back, or you can cut off their draw too if you need to.
And then you're going to stick them with a Dasher or a Celestial that they tend to not want on the field. But the craziest thing that I've been doing right now with a decent amount of my decks is, instead of playing a bunch of hand traps, I'm just playing cards like, I'll play Droplets and Chalice, and then Imperm is kind of like hand trap, but it's also a set trap, but it doesn't trigger triple tactics.
Right.
That's a card that's seeing a lot of popularity right now, and a lot of people are choosing, instead of drawing the two cards, to look at your hand and take your combo piece out of your hand. And then they're like, I don't have to end on much, because unless he top decks something like a Pot of Desires or like a really, really strong card, he's just going to lose simply because he used a hand trap.
Right. I agree with that. Do you guys think, we just had the recent release of Crossout Designator, and as Frank just mentioned, Triple Tactical Talents, which I think is an insane card. I think every deck should be playing that card right now. I'm playing it. I'm playing it at 3. I think it's just insane. The amount of times, even before Bode, I've had a person have a Dragoons on their field, and I open up double Talents. I force out the first one, and then I just Talents it again, take the Dragoons, pop their field. They already paid 2K, I mean, the Dragoons is...
And it's at 4K attack now.
Right, it's 4K attack, and I get to pop your monsters for more damage. It's just insane. But do you think that hand traps are decreasing in, most decks because of triple tactical talents and cross out?
Yeah, that's a big reason why you're only seeing, like, in the deck that I just won a case tournament with, I only played, like, one of every hand trap, and I was like, every time I drew them, I was like, I kind of wish this was just Chalice or Droplet instead, honestly, or even, like, evenly matched. I don't even know to consider evenly matched a hand trap, because it kind of sort of is, but it's like... If you just have a bunch of combo starters, it depends on your deck, really. Because if you have stuff like Chalice and Forbidden Droplets, you can just, like, summon Alistair, make Purgatrio, beat over everything, win the game like that. And then the Sword Soul decks, force your negate, Droplets, keep going, And the fact that you can, like, bait a card with a negate, and then use Droplets, and get rid of that card, and then negate something else, and keep going... I'm seeing that hand traps are actually not as good as they were last format.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've gone from decks that used to play 10 or more hand traps even at times.
Zodiac.
Yeah, and to now maybe 3. Like right now, I'm debating. The only hand traps I'm debating right now are kind of Ash Blossom.
I got 4.
Do what?
A lot of my decks only play 4. That's it.
Yeah, like right now, I'm debating essentially Ash Blossom because it still does hit almost every deck in a way. And then Nibiru, because Nibiru is just, clears the board. Right. Nibiru gives you the most reward. Go ahead, Zach.
I feel like Nibiru fell out of favor for like a month, and that puts it back in favor because since nobody was playing it for a little bit, people aren't expecting it anymore. And because Tri-Brigade, like, played around it so well, people aren't expecting it anymore. And now even Tri-Brigade players are like not going into Apo as soon and stuff like that, not playing around it because they're not expecting it as much.
Right.
However, they're not going into Appaloosa, but they can make an F-Zero really quickly without using their normal summon. So keep that in mind when you're signing against them, depending on what version they're playing.
Yeah, a good player should play around it for Tri-Brigades and Lyrilisc, but
I don't do it game 1, personally. I'm like, if you have a game 1, you have it.
See? Everybody's got it.
Now, we do have some people in the chat real quick. They wanted to ask a question. Essentially, who is everybody? You might have missed it. We are live, so just a quick little intermission here. I'm Avery. I'm originally from South Carolina. I think all of us are here. These are friends of mine from back where I'm from, but we are going to have other guests, kind of from all over. But I'm Avery. I currently do live in Minnesota now. It's true. Branch out. Some things about myself, just to answer. I have about, I think 5 or 6 Premier Tops, 2 ICSs, and 4 ARG. Mostly during ABC format. That was my best format, and about 2 in Zoo format. Frank, I know you have some accomplishments. You're more than welcome to talk about them.
Yeah, I am Frank Nicola. I'm most known for playing really dumb decks at tournaments and doing surprisingly well with them, like Heroes and Lightsworn, decks like that. True Draco was one of my better decks, but I have about 10 or 11 Premier Tops, being National, YCS, ARG, PPG. Some people don't count those, but whatever. I like those tournaments back in the day. They were difficult.
Paid money too.
They did pay cash, so that was kind of cool. That's sometimes better than winning a plastic mat. But I love Konami events. So much more fun. Everybody comes out for those. I say that the most I've done recently was Thunder Dragon. Yeah, I topped Thunder Dragon Nats. I got top 16 at that with the Thunder Dragon Battery Man deck. That deck was a lot of fun. I don't know how they let us even play that deck. That deck was not fair whatsoever.
All right. And Zach, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, less Premier Tops, but I got 1 YCS top, 1 ARG top, and some regionals or whatever. Claim to fame, went 5-4 at nationals with Chain Burn, so get wrecked. That was during Extra Deck Monarch format, so I think that's almost a better accomplishment than any that's been stated so far. Yeah, I've kind of been known for playing troll decks. I mean, I played Gem Knight FTK. I would play Mystic Mine if I had gotten in when everybody hated it and I played Chainburn for like 8 years straight. So
Funny about that national, that's the extra deck monarch. I played the synchro hand loop deck for that national. So
yeah, dark synchro.
Yeah, I played the one that just hand traps, or if you maxi him, you make him draw. I played a horrible deck. I also went 4-5.
Hey, I did better than you. I got 1 win.
There you go. There you go. And don't worry, Casper. I do see you there. I'm gonna say hi back to you. So what's up, Casper? All right. So we are talking about some meta things that we did, some accomplishments we had, and we've talked about Bode a little bit. Let's talk about outside of Bode. Bode is making an impact on older decks. Currently, the format's really like Tri-Brigade, I would say, Virtual World. I really enjoy this meta right now. I think there's so many decks, and nothing's really broken. They're all pretty balanced, in my opinion. Currently, I'm playing PK, which I think is going to get even better and better. Phoenix Forcer, it's insane. Exactly. Right, you mentioned it. The next set with Brave tokens. What are you guys planning on playing with this format? What are some decks that you think that are not in Bode that are going to be making an impact still, or new decks that make an impact?
All right, I'll go ahead. I currently own all the decks of the format, so I've been playing a lot. I kind of just roll a dice, and I'm like, all right, Invoked, all right, Literalist. But my personal favorite deck right now is Literalist Tri-Brigade, because even if you take the Tri-Brigades completely out, let's say you just decide to play Fractal to send for what's that one that specials from Graveyard? The one that is like a Cyber Dragon. You know which one? Turquoise. Even if you just play the Fractal for Turquoise, that deck is absolutely ridiculous. The things that deck can do is they can set up a lock, they can set up a easy negate with 1 card, they can summon 8 or 9 times without using their normal summon, and by their 5th summon, they'll have an F0 on the field. They can play the most impactful hand traps. It's very hard to hand trap that deck because it has so many extenders. And they have a trap card that you can play that is basically compares to Azathoth or Kali-Yuga, just completely shuts your opponent's turn off and negates. It's not like where you would wait for them to activate and then they couldn't activate anymore. It negates the effects, and then they can't activate any more effects for the turn. So I think personally, I'm leaning to more playing Tri-Brigade this format, but my second best favorite deck right now, I'm gonna have to give that to Invoked. I just think that Invoked is just the easiest deck to play, and personally it can just beat every single deck in the format and play the strongest hand traps, and Winda is terrifying. So a lot of people just aren't maining cards like Twin Twister or Cosmic, so you have to deal with the Winda to game 1. Usually just have to scoop it up to a Winda.
So your team bird up, huh?
Yeah, birds have been doing really well for me online.
I agree. I like it. What about you, Zach? What do you think? We know you're gonna be playing something special, but
So if I was going to a tournament, like if I could go to the YCS in California, I would play Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk. I think that is the best deck. I thought Tri-Brigade was the best deck at the start of last format. Turns out that was correct. And I think Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk is still the best deck, agreeing that Lyrilisk by itself, Bird Up, is still really good. I am currently playing Quantles and am building Metal Foes. So asking me what I'm playing, those are both like decks that I think are good enough. Right now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, especially in-person Yu-Gi-Oh! Is mostly locals. And those are decks that if I can go undefeated at locals, it is not just playing the best deck at a local shop and being good at Yu-Gi-Oh! That there's some amount of having to work and earn a victory slightly.
right.
So I like those decks. I also think Live Twins with Sunny is a really cool deck. I think Altergeist with the Sky Prison, the rock or whatever.
Altergeist.
I think that's actually like kind of cool and good. Because like I said, I think trap heavy decks are getting so much better. And then, so those are kind of things I like. Tri-Brigade is the best deck. I think honestly, my tier 1 decks would be the same as last format with new stuff.
What's the new stuff you're throwing in there?
So like Enforcers and what's the Dragon Links with the Cupid? They play the Cupid girl now for that combo. That makes it a little better. Drytrons doesn't play anything new, but that Drytrons without being interrupted is still the best deck. You just have to open good and then not be interrupted, and then it's the best. But that's like a hard ask. But sometimes they don't have it. And then does Virtual World play anything from the new set? I still think that deck's probably tier 1.
Cupid Pitch. Some of them I think play Cupid Pitch. I'm not 100%. I think I saw a few combos. They're gonna play Small World pretty soon.
I'm gonna vent real quick. I can't stand playing against that deck.
Drytron?
I can't. No, Virtual World. Drytron's Drytron's one other thing. It's just saying you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh. But Virtual World is just like
lucky.
No matter what I do, it's like they still have more follow-ups. I feel like I Ash, the Lulu, they still keep going off. I Veiler this, I Veiler that. They still make a crazy board. It just doesn't matter.
Every time they open up Kaloon and Lulu, I face palm. I'm like, wow, this is gonna go south real fast if I don't draw Droplet or Dark Ruler or anything like that. And the fact that deck could summon Dragoon without any of the Dragoon bricks is crazy.
Yeah. You guys kind of broke my heart a little bit. You didn't mention PK as a top tier deck. I think it's gonna be up there. But
I have it at 1.5, but maybe after Brave Token is tier 1, but I have it at 1.5 right now.
The reason why I think that deck is not going to be that good post-Bode at the start of Bode is because you have Sword Soul searching an Arch Nemesis card and taking your turn and throwing it in the dumpster. So that's why I think that PK is kind of like 1.5 to 2. It's the funnest deck to play in my opinion, though. That's why I have it built. With Dagda, it's crazy.
It reminds me of Dragon Link in a way where I think you have to think about a lot of your plays too. And to me, that's more fun Yu-Gi-Oh than just simple. Like for me, Sword Soul, I didn't really want to play because it got very repetitive and boring for me. Like I summon a Baroness, Xian Ching, whatever his name is, the Synchro one, and like a Dragon Ice or a Phoenix Enforcer pass every time. And to me, that gets boring. PK, my turn 1 board is usually going to be the same, but it's the later the game, the more fun that deck gets. We're trying to grind out, trying to figure out opportunities.
You guys, something I'm doing that's pretty dumb with my Sword Soul deck. So I've been testing. Well, this is an idea more than I've been testing, but I've been thinking about putting E-Telly in it with either Ghost Ogre. So when they have Token Collector, you could take your Mo Yi or whatever you summon, E-Telly, synchro those into Yazi effect, pop, summon out the one that banishes from graveyard, then you go into your synchro 8 and start your play for real.
That's an interesting idea. I kind of like it because Token Collector does hurt Sword Soul a lot. I will say that.
So if you get the Ghost Ogre, you go straight into Yazi, then you just neg one out of your hand.
And then Yazi, I think, can summon one from your deck too when you pop himself. So it just helps your combos already. Right. You also mentioned Invoked, Dogmatica. Wish Shadol. Are you thinking Wish Shadol's in the main or just in the extra deck?
So I tested it. I've been testing that deck. Like I have a really high win ratio with that deck. Just being able to beat everything, activate Mo Yi, chain Schism. You can't summon anymore.
Right.
I think that the way to go about that deck is consistency. You don't want to draw your Shadol monsters because they don't do anything without the combo pieces. You want to just summon Alistair, and you want to get to Mechaba or Augades. Even a hard summon Augades, if you can get to that quickly. Augades crazy this format, because as soon as they go, again, Mo Yi special, pop Mo Yi, what are they doing now? Now they have to have an extender to keep playing. I played 2 Augades in my Invoke deck, and I think I don't know if I'm going to play Verte, honestly, because it's so hard to put 2 monsters on the field with that deck. Also, that deck there can be only one in the main deck if it wanted. You have spellcasters, fairies, machines, and then against all the other decks, they can't do nothing against it. There can be only one. They go bird effect, chain there can be only one. You now use the effect and you cannot resolve it because you already have a bird. Or Literalist. That deck, Tribrigade can play around there can be only one, but it really depends on your lines of plays, and it depends on when they activate there can only be one. Because you can get locked into that Beast Warrior, like let's say you summon a Beast Warrior, you can't make Ancient Lord now. now you're gonna lose the game because you can't summon a Beast Warrior.
Right.
Well,
I was talking with person from locals the other day about paying no shit all cards in the main deck, and you're just relying based off the extra deck ones. And so
do not play them. They're just not consistent. All you have to do with that deck is send the Schism, add Schism, send it. Maximus, send Construct, send Ash Dragon, and you're good to go. That's all you have to do. You play 3 Ecclesia, you get to Maximus, and then you're good to go. If you have Meltdown Maximus, or if you have Fusion Destiny Nadir, you got a pretty good setup because you go Fusion Destiny, summon, then you go Nadir, send, add, Schism, pitch a card, then you can normal summon the Ecclesia because you can't special summon it, and then you either add the Punishment or the Fleur, so you have a Schism Winda setup with a Fleur, or you have a Schism Punishment Dragoon guy set up. And with the Winda, they can only summon once, and you can pop it with the Dragoon. So
right. I'm thinking about doing 3 Ecclesia, 3 Maximus at this point, and just no Shaddolls in the main, because both those cards are really good starters, and I've been liking the testing I've had with it so far.
Maybe 2 Maximus, maybe only 3, because you do want to also be able to play cards like Nibiru, Droll if you want to, and stuff like that. Ash, Forbidden Droplet. Maining Forbidden Droplet in that deck is crazy, because they're gonna go. So you're gonna summon Alistair. They're gonna try to do something to it. Ash or Valor or whatever. Not Ash. Ash doesn't matter. They get you anyways. But Valor and Imperm, and then you droplet it away, and you're like, oh god, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Droplet is broken.
Yeah.
Also, that deck can hard summon the Phoenix Enforcer. If you brick real bad, I did it unrated. Invocation the Destiny Heroes from your hand, and you summon this guy without having to stick yourself in the darks, which I think is really funny, personally.
Right.
Avery, you're not actually showing the cards on stream, by the way.
Are they not showing anymore?
No.
What is it showing?
I think
It's
just saying
showing
your stream
on
is running. Not on Discord, on the YouTube. It just says your stream is still running.
Oh, it's not showing anything, or just is it showing us?
No, it shows us, and then it says your stream is still running, and then there's no picture of cards.
Oh, interesting. I see.
I think it'll do that if you click out, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, that's kind of strange, isn't it?
Hold up, there's another card I wanted to talk about that Invoke can play, that allows you to essentially get a free, it allows you to get a free Fusion Destiny to your hand. It's a fusion monster. Here we go. It's a fusion monster. It's called Chaflesia, or Kaiflesia. Anyways.
I'm sorry, can you say that again for me?
It's called Predaplant Chimer Rafflesia.
I'm mostly making fun of you, Frank, because that was a pretty funny pronunciation.
This is a very hard to pronounce word. So basically, it's summoning condition doesn't matter. It's a Predaplant.
Oh yeah, this card's broken.
And a dark monster. And I mean, if you play Super Poly, you could be funny and turn your Verte into this guy. But what the point that matters is you're gonna send this card with Nadir, and then you're gonna add cards like Super Poly, or what else can you add? Fusion Destiny, because it says Fusion or Polymerization card. So you can add Super Poly, or you can add Fusion Destiny to your hand, which is crazy. You can't add Invocation, but oh well. But you can add Fusion Destiny, which if you get hand trapped, that's gonna come up. You gotta make sure that you use this card's effect during the next standby phase. It's not like your standby phase. And also keep in mind, for the people that are just picking up the Destiny Hero monster, you have to activate that effect to summon himself the following turn, and they cannot use cards like Bell. If they draw into it, they have to hit the card right then and there when it's attempting to summon during the next standby phase. If they draw into it, it's useless. The only cards that will do anything are, this is why I was talking about DD Crow earlier. If you have the DD Crow, that's the only card that'll stop it if you draw into it. So you may want to think about picking that card up.
All right.
Did.
There you go. He's got him right. He's got him right there, ready to go. All right.
I think that is really underrated.
So we pretty much covered Bode, some of the most meta impacting cards in Bode, and some decks that are going to be using them. We talked about some hand traps, what we think about them right now. Something that you mentioned a minute ago was droplets and Dark Ruler no more. I am indifferent about which one to play, if not both. Because in my PK version, sometimes it's good to have the cards in the grave to go droplets, send them to the grave. But then I had to keep discarding or sending them for each card I want to target. So I've kind of gone towards the just maining the Dark Rulers now, just playing the one card, just getting rid of everything, and going off. Do you guys have a preference on which of the two cards you guys are liking right now? Are you kind of on equal terms with them? What do you guys think? And we'll start with Zach on this one.
Are you choosing to go second with your PK deck?
I am not, but what I've realized a lot of the times is when I do have the droplets going first, I still never want to set it because I'm scared it's going to get removed anyway. I'd rather set it so if they do break my board, that I have a response when it's my turn again to try and break their board again. So because of that reason, that's why I was I swapped them out for the Dark Rulers no more. Because in case I do go second, and in case I'm keeping it in my hand anyway, so it's essentially another Dark Ruler.
Yeah, I personally, if I was playing a deck that wanted to go first with the capability of going second, would play Droplet. But I do understand. I think Dark Ruler no more is more powerful going second. Like it doesn't lose you card advantage or as much as Droplet does or whatever. Droplet is still just kind of. Droplet's such a powerful card because it does very similar things, shutting off your opponent's board, while also sometimes the card advantage doesn't matter, like with the Alistair, like he said or whatever, you can just send it and stuff like that. A lot of times it doesn't actually end up being really card disadvantage. It's kind of the same thing. But if you're going second, I feel like Dark Ruler is just a better card. But I like the flexibility of Droplet, and I do think sometimes setting it in certain situations against certain decks is enough to win you the game. Because once again, it cuts their attack in half too, which I'm sure y'all have been in scenarios where you've not died because of the attack being cut in half.
And that's the only thing I was debating too, is that it allows me to attack over these big monsters like Dragoons and Crystal Wing that are just too big, you know? Frank, what do you think about the two cards?
I think, okay, so this last weekend, I actually did not play any in the main deck at all, but I did side Dark Ruler. And it depends on what deck you're playing. So the decks that revolve around the graveyard, like decks like Invoked and Phantom Knight, where they can benefit off of you discarding cards, even Tri Brigade, not the bird version. I would still like, you have better plays you can be doing than discarding your advantage in that version. But I think going second, the Dark Ruler is definitely better, so that's why I prefer it in my side deck if I know I'm going second. And then the Droplet, I feel, is more main deckable in more decks, because I did play a tournament not too long ago where I was like, alright, I'll just main deck Dark Ruler, and my theory on that was I was playing Tri Brigade. Worst case scenario, if I'm going first, I can just fidget back, but in reality, there were times where I just drew like really bad just because that was in my hand, and like there was just nothing I could have done with it turn one. So only side deck Dark Ruler in my opinion, but if you're gonna main deck a card, Forbidden Droplet might just be the better way because you can use it first or second, and then in certain decks you can dodge cards like Imperm Veiler, and that's just gonna win you the game because you can set it and you can dodge certain cards. But Dark Ruler no more if you're gonna side deck.
What do you guys? So I kind of mentioned like I don't like to set it going first. Are you guys setting that card going first? Droplets? Do you set it or do you hold on to it? You set it still?
I set it. Yeah.
I'm like YOLO swag. You know,
sometimes I'll even set two, even though it's once per turn, just to throw them off.
That's how. Yep. Because what's going to happen is they'll MST the first one, think, okay, I'm safe now. So
exactly.
All right. So next thing we're going to talk about now is kind of what's going on in the market. I think a lot of people are aware that today there was a TCG Players sale, cashback percentage for about 15% today. And I will say some of the prices that we'll show have been crazily increased because of that. I wish I was recording when Frank joined in here and I showed him what ulti droplets have gone into because it blew his mind. But we'll start with that right now while we're talking about it. Ulti droplets. Currently, at the absolute cheapest is $439.
Worth it.
List mine right now. Like, I just have them sitting in my Goki deck, and I just want to. But as you can, people bought them.
Yep.
Oh my god.
People are buying them for 420. This man bought 2. He bought 2.
Oh,
And you can see just earlier today, they were almost $200 less.
Let's see how much cash back this guy got. So, 430, 15 back.
15%. Mm-hmm.
15%. He got 130 credit for that. I mean,
that's probably worth then.
So he spent about what? So he spent 860, got 130 back. No, I'm still not about that. No.
What's Nibiru at right now?
Ulti Nibirus? That's a good question. They were about, I think 150 last time I saw, but I haven't checked them since today. So Ulti Nibiru about the same, still about 150. I'm trying to get my playset for the ultis. So 150, 160 pretty quickly. That's moderate play. Near mint 160, 170.
I sold a few of these earlier for a really good price. Honestly, I sold 2 earlier for 147, I think.
Yeah, I gotta get me one of the ultis.
I think Nibiru looks ugly ulti. I said it.
Listen, Prismatic Secret is my favorite secret of all time. All the way back from the very first GBA game, in the Forbidden PS1 games, like Anti-Spell and Harpies Feather Duster.
Yeah.
These are that is the best rarity that has ever came out.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous card.
Those are like some of the crispiest secret rares in the game. They just look so good.
And they are
Charging
super
battery.
thick. They're like a Hobby League without being Hobby League.
You remember the old Parallel rare or whatever, like the Call the Haunted ones and stuff?
Many game losses because of that card. The game one, I've definitely gotten at least 3 game losses or 4 game losses because I forgot to take the game version out of my deck, and they curve really hard. I think Blair one time got a game loss for that same exact card. I know a lot of people that got game losses for that, but they look so damn good.
Yeah.
A card that Zach, you mentioned before we started streaming was Dimension Shifter.
Yeah, this card's broken, and it's $5 with 1 printing that's secret.
Yeah, it's about $5-6, and it's essentially pretty much a DD Crowbar for a whole turn, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good for $5 and a tin that came out over a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that that is definitely a valuable card.
Put that main deck that in Sword Soul.
Yeah.
You don't
main deck and a bunch of
need
stuff.
your graveyard, and you can just D-shifter before you start your combo. Only one of them really needs the graveyard. So if you put that in your Sword Soul deck, your spell after you activate it will auto trigger, and so will your trap. So you can completely just win against decks like Phantom Knight and Dragon Link by main decking that card.
Tri-Brigade.
Yeah.
Not Bird version.
True.
Bird version has a trap card that just says, "Alright, you D-shifted me. Link, or summon 2 birds, make an exceed bird, add a whatever.
A lot of birds.
Hand trap or a follow-up, set as a thought, your move,
It's also to the end of your turn, so that if they have Enforcer and you bait out the Enforcer's now gone, as well as the 2 materials for it.
Yeah, that card's solid.
All right, and then this was another card that was mentioned by Zach about pricing.
Yeah, dude, go buy it. If you buy that $1,200 card, you instantly quadruple your money. I mean, that's just, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, we're going from $1,200 for a moderately played Morphing Jar to immediately $5,000.
You can smooth it out. There's no way you can't smooth it out and trick them.
Oh yeah, and you get your 15% back.
True.
15% back of $1,200. I mean, that's straight profit right there.
If you can somehow manage to trick somebody it's near mint, that's $50K.
To be honest with you, depending on how moderately played that card is, if it's looks somewhat okay, that is a solid price for that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a good deal.
I know that I got a Morphing Jar for my Goat deck max ready, but I got a solid deal on mine. But I think I paid $1,400 or $1,500 for mine.
I'm just here for the 50 grand. I'm here for the 50 grand near mint one.
Let me see how much cash back you get on the 50 grand.
I've got a near mint morphing jar you can have right now.
There you go.
That's a Jinzo
like $2.
Jinzo one at the $10,000 one. It's a Jinzo jar.
So, I mean, that's an impressive amount of money right there. So buy it, like Zach said, immediately quadruple your money, triple your money. I mean, moderate plate, light plate, not too big of a difference, right?
Yeah, you're the one listing it. The worst they can do is grieve it.
Right.
All right. I received a brick in the mail. This isn't a morphing jar, actually. Oh my god! Don't do that.
All right, so that's a little market watch for you guys. Next thing we were going to talk about is cards that we think you should invest in now. Not necessarily because they will increase in value, like as a collector's thing, but we think they're going to be good cards that can be impactful, and we want you to get them now before they have the chance to go up in price. So, first one we'll talk about was mentioned by Frank is Artifact Scythe. All right, Frank, why do you think people should pick this card up?
All right, I'll just jump right into it. So many decks right now. So many decks right now can just turn any two monsters into your opponent does not get to summon from the extra deck next turn. Because first, you let's say Phantom Knights. All right, Phantom Knights. Two monsters on the field, or climb to Levier. Levier adds back the Ancient Cloak. Then get to a Dagda, really simple because you have 50 summons in that deck a turn. And then you use Dagda's effect, Ancient Cloak. Ancient Cloak's effect to boost. That's going to trigger Dagda, and then you just take the Dagda and the Ancient Cloak right there. You can go right from there into Verte, into Phoenix Enforcer to trigger the Scythe. And for only $3 to $4 to tell your opponent that they do not get to special summon from the extra deck for a turn, and then if you leave up Dagda, you can do that to them 2 times. So they're just not winning. The only way they're winning is if they have Called by the Grave, which you're only allowed 1 copy per deck, or potentially if they have Droplet, but they have to Droplet so many cards at that point. It's just like, how you're gonna play the game with 1 card? It better be Exodia. Nah, but I just think that this card is pretty nice. I think Blake dropped there.
Yeah, we lost Zach for a little bit there. I'm sure he'll get him back in. Let me see if I can check him on him real quick. Let's see here. So looks like he might have disconnected, but that's okay. If Zach can't make it back in time by the time we finish, we do appreciate him coming here.
I think this card definitely has the potential to be like $7 or $8. I feel like you could just buy this card out right now and then just sit on a bunch of them, and I've never had a problem selling this card on my store. I think that for $3 to $4, there's no way that card can't go up with Dagda being as popular as it is going into the next format.
Right. You mentioned another card to me, and that is the Harpies Featherstorm.
This is a card that I was talking about all day. So basically, doesn't matter how many times you hand trap me if I'm playing Bird Up. If I have this card, you are not winning the game. If I decide to play the Link 2 Harpy Link monster and that I can cheat out with the Tri-Brigade monsters, I can use this card as a hand trap. Basically, if you want to go ahead and read the card to the people, you can put it up there.
Yep, so if you control a winged beast type monster, until the end of this turn, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. If you control a Harpy monster, you can activate this card from your hand. If this card is in its under spell and trap zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add a 1 Harpy's Feather Duster from your deck or graveyard to your hand.
It's up randomly. That other effect will randomly come up. Let's say if they MST or twin you away, you get a free Harpy's Feather Duster against certain decks, on top of making it to where their turn just didn't happen. So the reason why I think this card is crazy is I actually just want a case tournament solely because of this card. It's a normal trap, so you can trap trick it out, and then on top of that, you have the main decks of the format that are going to be Flunderies and Tri-Brigade Literalisk, which are both heavily Winged Beast type of decks. They have lots of Winged Beasts. I literally won a game where I was like, normal summon Turquoise, summon Frigid, and then that's all I had to end on was a turquoise, this card right here, and a Frigid, and he couldn't do anything. So he was more of a combo heavy deck, so he doesn't have any. If he doesn't combo, then the following turn you just get to combo again on him, and you just win because of it. Also, on top of this, let's say they have something like a Crystal Wing up. All you have to do is summon the littlest, because one will get you 2 exceeds. So you attack him with the first one. The first one turns into a Zeus. You leave the second one up for the trap, and then you go Zeus effect. They're gonna change something like a Crystal Wing, and then all you do there is Harpies, Feather Duster, Storm, and then boom, no field, no effects, and they can't really do anything about that. They better have red reboot, and chances are they're not gonna have a game 1.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely a card you probably need to pick up because it's already $10 right now. It's had a couple of printings, and they're all about $10. So yeah.
Because everybody threw it away because it was just so trash. It was never going to get played, and then now it's broken.
Right. Everyone's like, I don't need to search Feather Duster. Who needs that card? Nobody plays back row, but the times are changing. So, welcome back, Zach. By the way, we know you had a little error there, but we're talking about what cards that we think were going to be impactful that we should pick up now. And you mentioned this one to me, the Lord of Heavenly Prison. Talk about this card a little bit.
Yeah, this is more along the lines of like me thinking trap decks are just in a good place right now with how people are playing and how people are playing around. And I think that decks are slowly going to gear towards like playing second because there's such powerful cards for going second. And when they do, you go first and play traps instead of hand traps and you're a better scenario. And Lord of the Heavenly Prison is just such good value for protecting all of those. It will make Cosmic Cyclone better than it already is, but it'll protect from all them. Plus you get a free body, plus you get a free surge. So
Can you read that card for me really quickly? I want to make sure I know exactly what it does.
Alright, so during your main phase, you can activate this card. This card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. If a set spell or trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if you activated this effect while it was revealed, you can reveal and set one spell or trap card directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only use one of this card once per turn. So
that card seems pretty absurd in Eldritch.
Yep.
Right.
30
and Altergeist.
Yep. Any back row heavy deck.
Madolches.
I would not main deck that card. I would side it. Because game 1, they're not going to have back row removal in general. They just won't. A lot of the main decks just don't play cards that can out back row game 1. I would side deck that card 100% though.
But even if you main deck it right, it's still a 3,000 beater that searches you another trap.
You are right, because Altergeist and outside of the Golden Lord, which the 37 trap version doesn't play Cursed Eldlin. Or if you do, your deck's not built correctly. I'm sorry. That is a really big beater. And how many stars is that? What, 10? Is that a 10 star?
It looks like 10. Yeah, it's 10.
Yeah. So it can help you go into Gustav.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I like that. I do like that a lot. Another card that's from the set, along with this one, that destroyed me yesterday. We played Bode one day or a little bit early, and they summoned this card on me. And I'm playing PK, and they call Dark. So for those of you who don't know what this is, you essentially, in short, you call an attribute, destroy all those attributes on the field, and till the end of the next turn, nobody can summon any monster with that attribute. So she summoned this on me, and she was playing Sword Soul. She summons this after already making an insane board. Yep, there it is right there. And called Darks. PK have to summon some Darks. I almost had the out for it, too, because I had E-Tally, but...
Crazy about this card is it is searchable by the spell. As soon as they summon a synchro monster, it is completely searchable. And then a Sword Soul, the whole deck is pretty much different attributes. So wait, what is Goes match may be good right now then.
Also, guys, I think y'all are not factoring in the fact that Super Quantal Alphin immediately sets this up. Why are we not?
No.
Oh,
no.
Guys, I've been playing it for months. Like, Sword Soul didn't break this card.
Wait,
Console's broken.
so the Quantum monster can just summon this straight out of your deck or something?
No.
Because
so
you go through all the
you
elements.
have to draw it, but Super Quantal Alphen searches 3. You get 3 different attributes. They go to grave. So you instantly set up the grave having 3 attributes.
I'm not gonna lie. I've definitely lost to Super Quantums at YCS before. I've lost to the most recent Super Quantal deck I lost to was at YCS. What was it? Dallas. He was playing Super Quantal Orchest.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
The ARG was from Monarch format, not extra deck, was Quantals with the guy that got Quantals was first place, which wasn't me. So there was 2 Quantals in top 8 in Monarch format.
You didn't have a kaiju. You weren't doing anything.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mean, now you have cards like access code, so yeah, I think you can beat over the Megazord with that. I'm not 100% sure though.
All right, something I want to spring on you guys that I didn't really brief you guys on, but the idea kind of popped in my head. What are some cards you think people should get rid of right now?
Already got you. Magician Souls.
Magician Souls.
It'll never be good until it's reprinted.
Magician Souls is potentially. I think that people. Well, I think this card's gonna get reprinted in the next Legendary Duel series. I think they've been voiding this card for a good bit, but I think this card is definitely gonna get a reprint soon.
There's rumors for Ghost of the Past too as well. It's not confirmed, but there's rumors for the next Ghost set.
All right.
I'm guessing that the card they should get rid of right now.
So Zach says sell on Magician Souls.
And sell it to me, because I want it for a bad deck. I'll pay $20 for them.
It's been about 130 for like a year and a half now, so it hasn't gone
it's
up.
130 for 4-in-1s. American ones were like 160.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are up there. The German ones are highly populated for some reason. They just have a better pull rate or something. But the card that I would say that you can get rid of right now and then pick up again later is you can get rid of your Dragoon. Not a lot of decks are playing Dragoon, and it has the possibility of being reprinted or potentially banned for no reason following the OCG. But you can already start to see a decline here.
Mm-hmm.
It was $100, but it is about $88 right now.
It's about $90. They're selling for about 90, it seems. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but it's gone
like
down.
a lot of people just aren't really picking this card up, or they're trying to get rid of it because the Phoenix Enforcer is just more popular. So I think you can sell this card for the $88, $90 or whatever, and
Not too much of a loss. Yeah.
$65, $70 in the future, and you'll be all right.
One card I want to mention, because I got rid of it while it was about 130, 140, and just repicked it back up for about 90, is Access Code Talker. What do you guys think about this?
Talk about this card.
I put
Oh my
sell.
God.
I put sell on it too. Still sell it.
Still sell it?
Yep.
So we do know the
picked it up
reprint's
for
coming out already, though. So, and the price, it's gone down about 20 to 30 bucks, but it was up 90 or 100 not too long
No,
ago.
but just sell it and buy the cheaper one, and then you've made $60
Yeah,
for
this
however
card's
much.
not gonna hold $100. I'll tell you why I don't like this card. Cause right before, what was it, the Megatons dropped or whatever, I had a bunch of them, and then I sold them all for $100, and then it went from 100 to 180, and I was like, well, I just lost $700. Like, this card just makes me.
And sell
irritated.
Anaconda while it's not too low, unless you're intending to play.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You need Anaconda right now. I'd potentially just hold on to that because Anaconda is about $30 right now. It was $50 before the leaks, but I think that you should just keep that one because you're gonna need it regardless. I think the gold version will be about 30 as well.
So we're saying sell on Dragoon, sell. We're saying sell on Magician Souls. And
Yes,
sell-
you should have been sold it. If you still have Magician Souls, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with that card? Who's playing that card right now?
I don't know.
Triff. Triff is playing it.
That will potentially go down like a $10 card or $15 card. You think that maybe Dark Ruler No More? You think that's gonna get another reprint, or you think
It should.
I don't know when it would, though. We know it's not
Yeah.
in the gold, and I doubt they're going to put it in that like side type of secret set, like that Necros type set, which is the next one.
It
So-
should have been in the Cyber Dark.
I
Structure Deck
think those
It should be in the
prismatics,
Structure Deck.
unless they do an ulti, will only go up, in my opinion.
What? Can you go ahead and look at the structure deck Infinite Permanence for me and see what that's at right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, they were about 10, so the price of a structure deck. So here's imperms in general. About 300 for the old tees, but let's see what supers are at. About $10 still.
I say that's a card. Keep that as well. That card's gonna go way up. That's gonna follow Ash.
Keep and pick up if you can at a good price, I would say.
Just pick up the secrets. Go back a few years. Pick up the secrets when they come out and never get rid of them. That was my
now, because the Infinite Permanence is gonna follow an Ash pattern. You can clearly see Infinite Permanence is getting the Ash treatment, and they're just reprinting it to hell. So every printing of Infinite Permanence is gonna end up being $20 or so because it is like Ash Blossom. It is the most versatile hand trap that hits everything with no stipulations and doesn't trigger triple talent tactics. So this card, pick up the super rare, 100%.
So Matthew was talking about, he said sell it and buy for at $75. I believe he's talking about access code. So we will. That's definitely something to consider right there. All right.
It could definitely.
We are wrapping up here. Sorry, we've just hit an hour, so I want to wrap up our last few little things real quick. So the one thing I told you guys to come up with is your video of the week. So, we lost Frank there, but Zach, we said let's come up with a video of a week. I'm not referring to my own video. I'm starting my own channel now. So is Frank. He has his own channel. I wanted to see.
So do I.
Zach has his own channel. Yeah, there we go. And I kind of wanted to just, mention other people in the community. So I'll start off for my video of the week. I chose Rux and 34's opening up packs until he hits 100,000 subscribers. I thought it was just a huge milestone for him. I think that's really cool. You get 100,000 subs. We all hope to be like that and get there one day. So that was my video of the week. It's a great video. It's a little long video, but he's opening all kinds of packs. That's who I recommend this week for if you had to choose one video to watch of a Yu-Gi tuber, that's who I'm recommending right there.
Did he get anything awesome?
You got quite a few things. I can't remember anything on top of my head. I had to restart watching it, as you can see here.
Yeah.
But it's a long video. It was a lot to remember. And plus, he's had more uploads, like this retro pack one he did right here. He pulled a Cypher Gold Secret, which apparently is $25. I didn't know that. So pretty good.
Sheesh.
Zach, talk about your video a little bit. You mentioned this one to me right here about the last place locals.
Yeah, this guy has 82 subs, and it's not like a huge production or whatever thing, but he just does every locals. Instead of recording who won the locals, he records who came in dead last. And I like the idea just because it's cool to see players that have a different type of passion for the game, because a lot of times these are decks that going in, they probably don't know are that competitive. They're just wanting to have that fun Yu-Gi-Oh environment. And I think as all three of us are pretty much competitive players, it's we don't always get to understand that vibe, and getting to kind of see these guys' opinions, the guys that kind of get pushed to the wayside a lot of the times at Yu-Gi-Oh events, is kind of cool. And he only has 4 videos out. He's done it for 4 weeks in a row now. But each video is a different person with a different deck, and they're all interesting decks with weird choices, and getting to hear why they made the choice is kind of cool.
And I like the idea of the last place locals deck profile. It's always cool to see, what people come up with. Obviously, when you play a lot of meta decks, a lot of it's honestly copying each other's builds, and then you make minor tweaks. Granted, it may have gotten last place, but I'm sure he had a fun time playing his own deck, and I can definitely say this, and I mean this in no mean way, no one else has a deck like that. So It's going to be very unique. All right, Frank, you mentioned a video to me. He's a pretty known YouTuber like the one I liked. And that was DB Grinder. Tell us why you like this video in particular and about it.
The reason why I like this video in particular is because this what got me into starting to test Bode. It came out about 2 weeks ago. It's a Iron Man where you see the start of the video is a Sword Soul mirror match. But then you see this Invoke player come out of nowhere. He's like the second person on the Iron Man or something like that. Completely and utterly destroys the enemy team. This Invoke player wipes the whole enemy team by himself pretty much.
Spoilers!
Well, sorry. This game is a little bit old. But he does He gave me the idea for the triple Ecclesia. He gave me the idea to throw the Fusion Destiny in the Evoke deck. And I didn't get to see his builds, but I made my own. But he gave me a good idea. Watching the DB Grinders videos will always give you an idea of what you're supposed to do, what's going to allow you to clutch up certain moments, and then he also breaks down for you what you possibly could have done to be put in a better situation, as well as tech choices in certain decks. Sometimes you will see, like, this is his channel is one of the reasons why I made like a Synchro Tri-Brigade deck. His channel is one of the reasons why I tried to climb as high as I could on Rated to get featured. I actually got top 10 on Dueling Book, but he wouldn't feature me because I was playing Goki at the time. He just didn't want to put.
We don't talk about Goki around these parts, all right?
It's pretty crazy, this format. I got a deck profile brewing pretty soon for Goki. Goki is actually absurd with Phantom Knights and all the new cards. Can do so much with the Phoenix Enforcer and not having to play the bricks. That deck's nuts.
All right, just to wrap it up, just to make sure we know what we were talking about. Zach, you mentioned the last place Locals Duelist. Give him a check out. You know, it's like Johnny Yugs is how I'm assuming you pronounce it.
Johnny Yugs.
Johnny You know what? That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Johnny Yugs. So give him a like, give him a subscribe, and watch their video. That's what Zach's recommending this week. Frank's recommending the DB Grinder. Already a popular YouTuber, but Frank thinks you'll get a lot of insight on this, especially if you want to be meta relevant. I have watched him personally too, and I know that he gives the DB Grinder gives his own insight on him, and it's pretty good insight. And then, like I said, I like pack openings. I just like to see the crazy stuff people pull. And Ruxin just had his 100,000 sub, essentially big video. Give that a watch. Some great things in there. And to wrap up the last few things, and we'll be done here. We appreciate everyone who was here during the live stream. You can always catch us on YouTube, just on the VOD. The plan is to hopefully try to do this around every Friday around this time. Obviously, people have different schedules. Maybe we have a rotating cast, hopefully returning people. So the last little shout outs I'm going to do is just say, this is the same place you'll be able to watch the podcast and some other things such as deck profiles, maybe some pack openings. And I know Frank here has his own channel as well. So make sure you go check his out. He's got a Sword Soul profile on here. Already at 231 subs. Look at that.
That t-shirt is so tight. I just want to point that out. That t-shirt was strong.
I was going to tell you that, but I'm glad you pointed it out and I didn't have to.
Yeah, I go ahead and I post a bunch of high meta relevance and give you tournament reports and how the decks performed, and I tweak them and all that. But I do post a lot of really thought out deck profiles on there.
And Zach said he doesn't really have any YouTube or really anything right now, but he's going to be working on it hopefully.
Yeah, I have a deck profile for Quanals if you want to win the Quanals.
I'm sure we got one of those lists. I definitely want that, so we could definitely show that one day. Got Zach.
I DM'd you.
Zach's got it right. Zach's got it right here, so make sure you guys check it out. Sure, I can go to a random website. You're not trolling me here, are you?
No.
So yeah, give that a check out. 135 subs. Look, you guys are already killing it.
Pot of Desires. You should play that in your Quanal deck.
Yeah. That's where we start, right here in the middle. Pod Desires, that's how you start every list out right there.
Hot take. Play Desires.
Alrighty. And for my last thing, follow my Twitch if you can. I do some Yu-Gi-Oh things on there. I will play some Dueling Book on there every now and then. But I play a lot of other games. Currently, I'm in the middle of playing Rainbow Six Siege and Final Fantasy 14. But that's it for my shoutouts. Frank, I want to thank you for being here. Zach, I want to thank you for being here. If you guys have anything you want to shout out, you're more than welcome to. But otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. So
I'm going to give him one shout out. I'm going to give my shout out to Casey Martin. He gets so much hate, but he helps me with my decks all the time. And check him out in his Atlanta Yu-Gi-Oh group. It's not the big Atlanta Yu-Gi-Oh group on Facebook, but it's the second one because they kicked him out of the big one.
Uh-oh.
But he actually does some really good deck profiles, I'm not going to lie. He may not know how to play them to the best, but he's a damn good deck builder, I'll tell you that.
Anything you want to shout out, Zach?
Yeah, Team X3. That's my team for Yu-Gi-Oh! And then my mom. Great lady.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys all being here. Hopefully, we'll see you guys again next week. And we thank you all for joining us in the live stream. So, everybody have a great day. See you later.